got another one of my favorite products to work on. That's camcorders. If you can tell I'm being sarcastic, the way I say that, I am, because they are not my favorite things to work on. And I know you guys don't even watch them, so I don't know why I bother with this. But anyway, this one came in to have a look at, and once I got into it, I realized that I think I've seen this one before. Like, I think I saw this one 2 or 3 years ago and condemned it already once. Let's check it out. Okay, this time I've got a little Sanyo camera in. It's called a video commander system. I don't know why they call it that. Just a regular 8mm camera. It's got this little periscope on the top that is used for the infrared remote control, so that you can face it anywhere. So if you've got the camera sitting on top of your TV, for example, you can point this to where you would be sitting so that you can control it for playback. And you can turn it 360 degree, kind of a gimmick feature. But most cameras just had the sensor on the front, so obviously if you had it sitting on top of your TV facing towards you like that, it wouldn't work. You'd have to turn it around, and this made it easy if someone was going to store this in their cabinet with their TV for playing back their tapes. They could just point this to whichever direction they wanted to pick up the signal from. Anyway, this one here, the picture is very poor on playback. So if I play the tape back, I'll take a look at how bad the picture is. As you can see, the picture is not very stable. I see a lot of glitching in that image, a lot of wiggles that are showing up on the plasma. I see some interference, looks like here as well in the screen. So likely capacitors are going bad in this one. I don't know whether it's one that's going to be repairable or not, but we're going to give it a shot and see if I can get this thing to improve its playback, because that's the complaint on this one, is it doesn't play very well. And so let's take it apart and see whether I can get this one to look any better than that, because that is unusable. If you try to make copies of your tapes, your copies aren't going to look very good. I mean, it should look a lot better than that, and that is just awful. So let's get started. We're going to use the anti-magnetic mat. I say that because I ripped the magnets out a while back on this, I guess a week or two ago, because I got tired of erasing tapes and degousing my tools when I put them on the mat. So now I no longer have to worry about that. Was this camera in fact made by Sony for Sanyo? It looks like a capacitor's gone bad. It only looks like maybe 1 or 2. It's got fuzzy logic. Remember that? Fuzzy logic. That used to be the buzzword. Now it's all AI. Now everything's AI. But back in the day, back in the 80s, it was fuzzy logic. That was what we were, that was the big buzzword, you know, that everyone was using. And this one here has fuzzy logic. It's funny, you're talking about fuzzy when you're talking about a camera. Normally you would think, you know, you want your camera picture to be clear, not fuzzy. There's something fuzzy about the logic in that. I'm sure they had a good laugh at that one at the boardroom. When let's come up with a new word that we can call something, a new feature. Oh, let's just call it fuzzy logic. Yeah, we'll get them on that one. I'm sure that somebody had a good laugh over that one at the boardroom. Okay, well, this is not a Sony. Wow, this is a different, like, this is the chassis. I haven't seen one of these ones. This is interesting. Wait till I get this open. This is a completely different chassis, and I was not expecting to see this. I can't remember the last time I worked on a Sanyo, but it's been a long time. We didn't used to see them very often, as where I worked we were not a Sanyo dealer. Microphone just plugs in. No edge connectors on the ribbon connectors on this. This has got real connectors to unplug. And looks like this has had caps changed on it at some point too. There's been a few that have been changed on this one already. Somebody's been into this, because there are some conventional caps that are in here. I get this strange feeling that I looked at this thing a couple of years ago, and I think I condemned it at the time and was told just to dispose of it, and I gave it away as a parts machine, as I do with a lot of stuff. And someone's gone and bought this thing and brought it back to me. Unbelievable. Because I'm pretty sure, I haven't looked up the other one, but I recall when I saw the caps changed in there, I recall having something like this a while back. I forget what the problem was. Was it a broken board or something? I forget. But anyway, I remember now seeing one of these things. You know, it's like, because this one came from a local guy. You see, and I don't sell parts records to people. I give them away. Things that I'm going to get rid of, that I'm going to recycle, I put them up on Facebook Marketplace and say free parts unit, just to get rid of them. This sure looks familiar now that I think of it. And it was kind of working when I gave it away. It was intermittent. The picture cut in and out. How the hell does this thing come apart? There's got to be some screws down here. I forget. But anyway, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this thing because I think if it's what I'm thinking it is, it's a board that was damaged. How does it come apart? I forget. I've only ever seen like one or two of these things in my entire life. I'm ready to get on the phone right now and tell the guy I condemned this thing like 2 or 3 years ago. But it's very likely that it went up on Facebook and someone bought it and it doesn't work. Because there's lots of that happens. Of course, the guy that bought it, he bought a battery for it too. So I mean, he's put money into. Oops! Did I just break something? Oh, that comes off. That's why it's not opening up. There's a screw right here. See, it's been so long since I've opened one of these up. I forgot about that. The guy that brought it to me, he invested and bought a battery for it. Probably paid more for the battery than the camera. I'll be giving him I'm going to go look up the video that I did and see. I think it was one that I worked on. I'm pretty sure I've seen this one before. But that's the problem, is people sell stuff, and there's all kinds of people on Facebook that just, and eBay. eBay's another one. I don't know where he bought it from. I gave it away on Facebook, but he may have bought it on Craigslist or eBay or any of the other sites. Anyway, but that's unplugged. I think before I thought maybe it had been dropped because of the way that this is designed, with the lens and everything attached, just like clipped onto the board with plastic tabs, you see, like this. So any shock on here is going to transfer the shock right into the board. How does this come apart? Undo this one. I was trying to pull this off here. I want to take a look at this main board. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this unit, obviously, because it's just a lost cause. I should phone the fellow up and just tell him it's not repairable. Economically, it's not worth repairing. I should do that now before I even spend any more time on it, but I'm already into it this far, so. Anyway, that's another sad story from an owner of this crap that there we go, that he bought it because it reminded him of the camcorder that his parents had when he was a child, and he wanted to be able to record home movies the way that he remembers them being recorded onto 8mm tape. Again, different strokes for different folks, I guess. Something I certainly wouldn't do that. Looks like maybe somebody else has worked on this too, because I don't remember trying to redo that IC. Is it the same? Maybe it's a different one. It looks like the same. It looks similar. I mean, it looks like the same camera I had, and it certainly has had some caps changed on it here on the main board. Let me just plug this thing back in and see what it will do. I mean, that IC looks like someone tried to resolder that. I don't think I did that. I'll have to go back and look at the tape that I did. But I'm pretty sure I didn't do that. I had one. It might even not be the same camera. It might not be the same. It was certainly, I certainly remember having one like this. And I remember giving it away as a parts machine. So maybe somebody tried to fix it and tried to sell it. But it certainly looks like somebody has tried to solder this IC. If I remember correctly, though, the one I had, the picture, there was no picture, and if you flexed the board, if you pressed on the board, the picture cut in. But this one here, the picture's not cutting out, but it has a bad picture, and it wasn't brought for me. It wasn't brought to me for no picture. It was brought to me for a bad picture. So let's just treat this as if it's a different camera, even though I think it might be the same one. Let's treat it as if it's a different camera. I get lots of interference now that I've got the set out. The plasma is certainly causing a lot of interference to this unit. Now that the board is off of the chassis. But we'll see. I'll work my way through here and see whether it's something that I can improve. I already just got off the phone with the fellow that owns this. I kind of set him up for it possibly not being repairable, just because of the problem. I wonder if the board's still. I'm pretty sure this is the same one, although the board's not cutting out on it now like it was before. Because this one here, if this is the same camera that I had, I haven't looked at the tape before, but I do recall we're changing out some capacitors on one of these a while back. Probably 2-3 years ago I had one like this. I don't recall soldering a bunch of IC, so it might not be the same one. I tried looking at the serial number off of the chassis, and I mean, it's not clear enough on this one to be certain. Like, it's there, but it's obscured. Some of the numbers are obscured on here, so I can't tell whether it's the same one or not. Anyway, the fellow that owns this camera, he said he didn't pay a lot of money for it. He paid more for the battery, to buy a battery for it. But he figures he can sell the battery. I wish him luck. But anyway, he doesn't want to spend a lot of money on it. So he said, do what you can and see whether you can improve the picture. I think he probably wants to try to get the thing working so he can flog it on somebody else. That's what I think is going to happen. Is if I get this thing to operate any better than this, it's going to go back up for sale and some other unsuspecting sucker will buy it. But I'll just see whether I can improve the picture. One thing that is certain is that viewing this on a plasma screen is counterproductive, because the amount of interference the plasma throws, it makes the picture almost unwatchable. At least on an LCD set, I'm not getting the interference that the plasma generates. So what I'm seeing here is the actual picture coming off the camera. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to get my scope out and I'll just do a few tests and check some of the video circuits in here, just see how they look. Maybe there's another cap. I mean, I'm not going to do much on this thing. But if I can improve the stability, it seems to be playing. If I can improve the stability and get all that noise out of there, then maybe this thing might be usable. I told the guy that owns it I'd give it a shot. So he's not expecting anything So if I can make it look better than it does, then that's a success story. As I was going through with the scope, just looking to see if I lost a signal or whether the signal level looks to be wrong, I got another phone call from the guy that owns it, and he's decided that he doesn't want to spend any money on it. He basically phoned me up and said, I don't want to fix it, you can keep it. You can keep it for parts, and that's it. And he gave this one to me. He's cutting his losses. He's going to sell the battery. He didn't bring me the battery anyway, but he says he's going to turn around, just sell the battery, and cut his losses while he's ahead. And I said, that's probably a good decision, because when you got this old junk, and Sanyo weren't considered to be a very high-end brand to begin with. They were low end of the camcorder spectrum. So when you got this junk that's 40 odd years old, I said I already attempted this a couple of years ago. I don't remember, it was 2 or 3 years ago. I said I do remember seeing this camera. I'm pretty sure it's the one that I had, because there are caps in here that have been changed, and I think that I changed them a few years back and told the fellow that owned this thing at the time, because when I flexed the board, the picture would cut in and out. Let me see if it'll do it now. Because when I flexed this board, the picture would cut in and out on it. It doesn't appear to be doing that now, but it was. I think if you look up the other video, if I just give the board a little flex like that, it would cut in and out. It either had a hairline fracture or one of the internal layers was damaged, because it may have been dropped. And at the time I was told to throw it out, which I should have just taken it to recycling. But I put it up for free. Said, camcorder doesn't work for parts. Get rid of it, because I don't want it. I don't need it for parts. I don't need to store this stuff. I got rid of it like I get rid of a lot of stuff. And then, as I say, a couple of years later, it was probably a year ago that I got rid of this thing, if not more, when I was doing a purge of stuff that was abandoned and not worth fixing. Anyway, it's not cutting out now, which is remarkable. I don't remember whether I resoldered that IC. I may have done that. I forget, because it was so long ago. I may have tried resoldering the IC. Maybe that's why it's not cutting out anymore. But oh, it just cut out. It just cut out. The picture just went out on, and now it just stopped. I mean, just quickly checking with the ESR meter, like none of them are coming up as being bad. Like they're all really quite low, like 1 or 2 ohms. I was testing good. You guys can't see with my light in the way, but these two here look like they might be bad. That one's testing open. That one there's testing open, and that one's testing open. What the hell? It's mine now. I'm going to change them. See whether that will do anything. I'll change these two since I got it apart, and just see whether it's going to fix this thing. I'm curious, right? I mean, I would have done it anyway for the guy that owns it. Maybe if I get it going, I'll give him a call back and say, hey, I changed a couple caps. If it fixes it, if it improves it, then great. But I'll do it just for the hell of it, because it's mine. It'll be hard to get this one out of here. That's a 10, that's a 22. We'll just try these two and see if it improves the picture. Not that I'm going to make any money on this thing. You guys don't watch camcorder videos, or very few of you do. You know, I can make a video of fixing a power supply where a bird gets zapped, blows out a power supply on a DVD player, and it'll get 2,500 views within the first 24 hours. or more. 3,000 views. Yet I fix a camcorder and it might garner 2,500 views in a year. Yeah, it's like, it's making me rethink what I'm going to try to fix too. And that also helps decide what I'm going to repair for people, how much effort I'm going to put into stuff, because if no one's watching the resulting video, then why am I even bothering with it, is the way I look at it, right? If you don't watch it, then why am I doing it? And camcorders are one of those things that people just don't tend to watch. Maybe it's because most people don't care about old camcorders, and I don't blame them, because these things should all be in the dump, in my opinion. I think these things should all be. I mean, there are certain ones that are better than others, but all these basic camcorders, I think, should be tossed out. Just my opinion on old 8mm cameras. Oh yeah, that one was leaking. I can smell it. Okay, let me just see if I can find a couple small caps. I got a small 10 here. Let me see if I can find a 22. See, part of the problem with fixing these things is that a camcorder like this, working, will sell on Facebook for $80, 80 to $100, one that's working. So nobody's going to pay 80 or 90 bucks to fix one when they can go and get another one for that kind of money and take their chance on another one. That's the dilemma that we're up against when it comes to these old cameras. And just why it's not worth fixing them. I tell people when they send me a camera, they say, how much is it going to cost? I say, well, you could be looking at $100, maybe 150. Oh, it's not worth that. You're right, it's not. It's not worth that kind of money. But that's, when you got to factor in time and parts and so forth, that's where you're going to be at. And because I'm not working for nothing. In this case, I am working for nothing because it's mine. That's why I'm doing it, because it is mine. But that's the thing with fixing camcorders. Oh, that's the thing with fixing any consumer electronics these days, is that none of this stuff is really worth anything. It's all junk. And we fix these things more for the knowledge to see what went wrong with it, and that's why I'm spending some time on it. Is because it'd just be interesting to see what it is, and if I get it going. If I get it going, and I think that it might last somebody long enough to transfer some tapes, I might turn around and try to sell it and get $50 for it. That is, if it works, right? I don't know whether it's going to work. I'm going to change out the two caps that measured open on my ESR meter, and we'll play it by ear and see what happens. Make sure that those leads are not touching, which they're not. Okay. Let's see if I can get this other one in here. As I say, I measured all the caps, and all the other ones are measuring okay, ESR wise. Just these two were measuring open. So we'll just try and put in those two and see whether that'll make a difference. I think it's connected? Nope, it's not. Not connected on one side. Now it is tacked down. Power the unit back up. Plug in the controls. So I got to unplug the button controls. I don't want to break. I don't want to rip the ribbon cable. So I'll plug it in just to hit the button. Get it running. And see if the picture is any better. I don't know. It looks still got a lot of dropouts. That's the thing. It seems to have a stability problem. I think it fixed the contrast problem a bit, but it's still got a lot of glitching. See. Now I know this tape's got some glitches to it, and that might be grounding too, because there's no grounding on here. Like the board grounds aren't in place. Just try connecting the board ground to the chassis and see whether that helps alleviate some of that noise. I don't know, I think that's probably about as good as this thing's gonna look. It could be the tape too, caught with these glitches, and it's apart, but it just doesn't look right. Like the picture contrast is back, but I'm seeing a lot of. I mean, these could be just dropouts on this tape too. That is making it look bad, but I think I'm going to just wash my hands of this unit at this point and move on to the next one, which is probably even worse than this. So I'm going to just reassemble this unit. That's if I don't break it before. Remount the board, and then we can look at the mechanism. I've tested all the caps on there. They're all testing okay. So, I mean, it even could be even the DC converter, but that's unlikely. But the caps all test okay on it now, so they're all, relatively close to being where their spec should be. All of them are measuring only a couple of ohms. Like if we look at the 10s and the 22s, right? Like 16. A 10 at 8 or 16 volts should be 8, and I'm measuring down around 4 or 5. A 22 at 10 volts should be 5.4, and again I'm measuring in that 4 to 5 range. These other two that I just changed, they were completely open. All the rest of them I've checked. They're all measuring well within the accepted standards for them. And the picture's not looking too bad, other than all those damn dropouts that I'm seeing on the screen. You see, when I put the meter on, this is a 10 microfarad. 4.5. Well, that's fine. 1.9, right? These all measure good. Every last one of these measures without a problem. So, and that's why I didn't change them all before. That's why I only changed that was even okay. 8. Yeah, it might be a little bit up on that one, but I don't think that's causing the issues that we're seeing, because the picture looks okay other than what appears to be a whole mass of dropouts, which could even be the tape. I mean, the tape is so old. This tape itself could be deteriorated to the point where I haven't checked it on another machine. Maybe that's something to try, but I'm going to put this thing together because I'm not going to put any more time into this one today. I think I've improved on what I had, and the fact that it's now my unit, I don't want to spend any more time on this thing. I've spent enough time on this one today. Put it away for a rainy day, which will probably never happen. I'll never have a rainy enough day that I'll be getting back into this unit here, but I mean, it looks even like it's been bent. Like I'm sure that this thing at some point was dropped. And sometimes you just have to cut your losses, but we'll put it together and then I'll fire it up again once I've got it together and see if it's any better once all the shielding is in place, because right now, like, none of the grounds are in place, so that certainly could affect the picture quality. But I think the video quality now is looking better than it was when I started before I change those other two caps. So let me get this thing together and then we'll give it another shot. I hadn't even tried the camera section on this, and I hooked the camera back up, and that's the picture. So this is going in the scrap heap, this one. It's just not worth fixing. I'm not even going to bother putting this thing all the way back together. I'm going to hang on to it just because the heads in here look like they're compatible with some of the Sonys. It's a plug-on head, so I'm sure the head is compatible. So I'm going to hang on to this just for that. Put it in a box because it's mine. There's no point putting it together because it don't work. It's never going to work. That's it. I'm done on this one. Thanks for watching. Bye.